Hi everyone, Pete from London Camera Exchange. You join us here today in kind of a conference room, dimly lit, with Canon, where they've announced some new products. Now I'm joined here by Mehdia. You are Canon's product super specialist, knowledge of all things new from you guys. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Very exciting.
This is a new camera, so
Yes.
I'm going to let you take off and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so what I have here with me is the new R6 Mark II, which, as you can guess from the name, it is the R6 replacement.
Okay, so it's replacing it.
So this will replace the R6.
Yep.
I mean, there are loads of people actually use the R6 and they love all the features actually on the camera. But what we've done is we actually checked what they loved in particular, particular specs. We took those specs and made them even better.
That's good.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? So this new camera, if we're looking at resolution, we've increased the resolution, gone from 20 to 24 million pixels. So giving a little bit more flexibility for those that need to crop or print larger. Speed, I thought 20 frames per second on the R6 was pretty fast.
That is pretty fast, yeah.
Well, we doubled it with the R6 Mark II, so now you get in 40 frames per second if you need it.
Really quick, okay.
Yeah. You can still shoot at 20 frames per second with the electronic shutter, but with this, you can actually push it to 40 if you need that. It's not something that you're probably going to be using all the time. Otherwise, you're going to need to invest in 4 terabyte memory cards.
Yeah, quite
especially if you're
memory
shooting raw.
hungry, yeah.
Autofocus, again, the R6 does have a great autofocus, but we've improved on the deep learning algorithm. We've added more subject detection options on there. So you do have horses, you have aircraft or planes, and then you also have trains. Okay. And you can actually set it to auto, so the camera can actually do the switching for you depending on what subject you're filming or shooting.
Nice.
Despite the fact that we've pushed the resolution to 24, we haven't actually compromised on the low light performance. So we've maintained that, because loads of people, that's one of the key things that they actually loved about the R6, is shooting at higher ISO and not getting the noise or having to actually spend ages editing. So this will deliver similar performance to the R6 when it comes to shooting at higher ISO.
But it has that high megapixel range.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
So again, you do have that advantage, and it does focus when you're using it in challenging lighting, still down to minus 6.5 EV. You also have in-body IS. So we've taken obviously the in-body IS from the R6 and the R5. So it has been improved. So if you were to do side-by-side comparison, you'll see better performance from the R6 Mark II, still up to 8 stops, and obviously working with RF lenses with or without IS. So depending on which lens you're using, you're still looking at that up to 8 stops. There isn't another camera in the market within this range, and price actually offers that performance. So that is amazing for us. So these are, and then obviously there is an even bigger improvement on the video side.
Almost forgot about the video there.
Almost. Obviously, I think when it came to video, because obviously the R6 came out the same time as the R5, loads of people went to the R5 for video because of the 8K. This, basically you'll see bigger improvements on the video options with video features. The 4K 60 is actually oversampled from 6K.
Nice.
There is no 29 minutes, 59 second limit, so you can actually record for longer, as long as you have a decent sized memory card. For those that like to shoot and then have flexibility in terms of editing, you do have C-Log 3. And then you do have HDR PQ, so that will allow you to get the 4210-bit.
Right.
You also have, for those that want to record RAW, you can record RAW externally, so 6K ProRes to the Atmos. With the crop mode on this camera to get the APS-C, you can do 3.7K ProRes RAW as well. And while recording RAW externally, you can actually record full HD proxy internally into the SD card as well. The camera also picked up a few features from our cinema range, like pre-recording option. So you've got 3 and 5 seconds. You have false color, another exposure tool, so it helps you basically measure the exposure of your scene. There is also the new multifunction shoe. So we've seen it on the R3, we've seen it on the R7 and the R10. unlike on the R5C, but it's now on the R6 Mark II. So it does give you flexibility to use. Video side is the Tascam XLR adapter, for example, for more professional audio, but all the other accessories compatible with this shoe.
So I spent some time shooting with the R6. I've met with Dave Parry on a number of occasions, Dave Newton, we've been out in the field using R5s, R6s, and it's a really beautiful camera. Now, looking at the Mark II, it has had a bit of a facelift. The buttons and dials, like, it looks so familiar, but there's just subtle differences I can see there, like the on-off switches kind of move position and things. Any particular reason? I mean, I can kind of work it out, but...
I think the biggest change for me in terms of the camera design is this switch here between photo and video, because that basically opens up the mode dial for video. Previously on the R6, for example, the video was on the mode dial.
On the mode dial,
so you had the automatic exposure or manual. Whereas with this, if I put it now on video, I can basically rotate the mode dial and stop at any of these modes, and you will be able to basically shoot video. Some of it will be on automatic depending on which mode you're on. So on all the presets, the scene mode, even scene modes, you can actually get like different video scene modes on there. Automatic exposure, obviously, but it still give you that flexibility. But I think most importantly is actually the custom modes. So for those that want to shoot, that want to have a number of video settings, you have C1, C2, and C3. And you can set them. I mean, one could be to shoot 4K, for example. One could be to shoot full HD. One could be high frame rate, or one could be RAW externally. So there are so many ways you can actually customize it on video. Similar way to what you could do on the photo. You'll be able to do that in video.
Those will switch those profiles over. So it really is a true hybrid camera for stills and video, and it's quick and simple to use.
Definitely. I mean, everyone knows, obviously, our cameras are very customizable. And as if we didn't have enough functions to customize all these buttons, so we've added even more. So there are even more features from the video side as well as the still side that you can actually customize. The buttons, even the multi-controller that usually loads of people actually use and love for the autofocus. There are more functions that now you can use or customize with this, like, for example, switching between the right eye and left eyes, or adjusting, enabling or disabling the tracking as well. So we've added that to this. Previously it was AF and adjusting basically the AF area or the AF point. The one good thing as well is previously it used to be disabled. You have to go in and enable that for the direct AF changes. Now it's actually, that's the default setting, and then you can go into it if you want to either disable it or, they said, customize it to do something different. I mean, I can't imagine anyone else using it for anything rather than AF, but you do have that flexibility. But even the design of the control, as I said, the joystick is actually different. And I think a colleague of mine did say that he never realized how nice it is to use this. They never had a problem with the R6 one, but this is much nicer to use. And as I mentioned earlier, obviously we've got the new multifunction shoe as well. As I said, great for the photo accessories, but more importantly for professional audio with the Tascam.
You mentioned a new subject detection, so you said there's horses, planes, trains, obviously people, humans.
So we still have people, cats, dogs, bikes, cars. And now we've added horses. Anyone interested in shooting horses, as well as I said, planes and trains. There are loads of train spotters, so obviously this will be the perfect camera for them.
Yeah, definitely. So the auto detect in there. I mean, we've had a quick play in the other room with some sample models, and it's fast. You know, the R6 is quick at tracking, it's quick at focusing, but it is noticeably that bit quicker on this. And I noticed switching it into the auto mode, it almost picked up one of your colleagues' eyes a little bit quicker than what it almost did in the face detection mode. I don't know if that is how it works, or...
The great thing about this camera is it did inherit the autofocus from the R3, which, as you know, the R3 is the top of the range in the EOS R system cameras. So you do get that fast autofocus. And yes, on top of adding those number of subject detection, you now can leave it on auto, and the camera can actually pick the perfect one for you. It's easier than you having to switch.
Yeah.
And similar to what we do with the AF modes, when you can reduce the number of AF options, you can actually reduce the number of subject detector. If you know that you're somewhere where you're not going to see any cars or you're not going to see any horses, for example, you can basically remove those and prioritize others. Or as I said, you can just leave it on auto. You can also assign a button to switch from on and off, and any particular one as well. So can't get any easier than that. And when it comes to the eye detection, as you mentioned, you can actually now prioritize, because it's so fast actually picking up the eye. Even if you're not trying to track a person, it will pick up on the eyes, and then you can move from one eye to the other, and then you can basically tell the camera that you would want to prioritize the right eye over the left one, or the other way around. Great for portraits as well.
Yeah, really good for portrait.
Tracking is another thing, because on the R6 you had a separate tracking mode at the end of the AF mode options. This one, the tracking is actually accessible across all the AF modes. And we have new flexible modes as well, which means you can change the size of the AF area in that zone. Make it smaller, make it larger, and then it can grow, basically get bigger horizontally or vertically. So there is a lot that can be done on the autofocus side.
And that obviously will roll across into the video aspect as well. Now, something you mentioned earlier in your presentation was, is it face only mode? So
it's the face only. Everyone knows it as face only because that's the one we've been using in our cinema cameras or video cameras. And that means the camera will focus on the face. If that person leaves the frame, the camera doesn't try to refocus on the background. Basically, the video looks more professional, and sometimes you don't want it to, because that subject might come back to the frame, and you don't want that slight delay in the autofocus, so you can actually customize it. The great thing about this, it's not just people, so it could be any of the subject detect options. Even if you're filming a horse and it leaves the frame, the camera, you can basically tell the camera not to refocus. So it is the subject detect autofocus option.
And now, age-old question, battery life.
Yes.
Is it the same battery as the R6?
So it uses the same battery, but because of the improvement in the processing with the R6 Mark II, the battery is actually lasts you a lot longer, and you get more shots out of it on the still side, and you can shoot for longer on the video side as well. On the still side is actually amazing, because you get probably about another 300 shots out of it. Same battery, fully charged. If you start on both of them, you'll end up with 300 more stills on this one.
The R6 was dual SD cards.
Yes.
Are we still the same on the Mark II?
Yeah, we're still 2 SD cards. Again, same options in terms of how you want to record, in terms of recording to both, recording to one and then moving to the other. And that's applicable on the video side as well.
And then connectivity-wise, I'm assuming there's some Wi-Fi in there, probably some Bluetooth. Is there an upgrade there at all?
Yeah, so Wi-Fi has gone better, so it's now 5 gigahertz, meaning faster, more reliable, and less interference.
That's good.
Bluetooth, it's version 5, different to the R6 because that was version 4.1. So again, that covers longer distance and uses less power. So improvement on both. One other improvement on the connectivity side or the Wi-Fi side is that for those that use FTP, for example. So this camera actually has, you can do with the built-in Wi-Fi, FTP, FTPS, and SFTP. Usually with other cameras, if you want SFTP, you need a separate wireless file transmitter to do that. This camera can do it all with the built-in Wi-Fi. There is also UVC support. So this camera can be your higher quality webcam, and you can easy setup for streaming using this camera as well, thanks to the UVC and UAC as well. So it's not just video, it's audio support as well.
That's really useful. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of features which I feel you've taken feedback from your users of the R6 and probably the R5 as well, and you've given them all of that plus more.
Definitely.
That's really quite exciting. So I personally am looking quite forward to kind of getting hands-on in the field with this at a later date.
Me too. Because at the moment the camera is going everywhere. But, it would be nice to use it for longer.
But no, thank you ever so much for your time today.
Thank you.
It's been really good, really interesting. But if you'd like any more information, obviously please click on the link below or pop into your local London Camera Exchange.